And the 2024 CrossFit semifinal season is underway. We are in Lyon, France, as the individuals are taking the stage for the first time. We'll start with an 800-meter run, 10 clean and jerks as they come inside, all looking at each other with the barbells, which I think that is a pretty cool thing. So they're out for their 800-meter run. And, you know, Lauren, a lot of these athletes have been working all year long to get to this position for semifinals. They've been training. They've got the events a little earlier than normal. We'll say that. But when we look at, you know, we said a couple partners have come on board with CrossFit. Obviously, it's like I'm rocking my Go Ruck runners at the moment, which I like because they little soft in the step, which, you know, on your feet all day is kind of a nice thing. But when you look at what we have here to start things off, is that they're out for that 800-meter run. How we're going to pace that out. With these athletes, I mean, you have a couple, like Rebecca Fittest is in the first heat. I mean, all this is coming from quarterfinal seeding, so things will shake out. It's only one event today. They'll reseed tomorrow. But knocking off the cobwebs, getting the nerves out. What I like about this one is this isn't an event that you can have a small mistake and have a big consequence. You can figure yourself out after round and round versus, say, an event like the rope climb or the handstand walk, where a small misstep could be a massive problem. So I actually like this as a starting event for these individuals.
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't agree more. It feels like the perfect scenario for harnessing the emotional energy that undoubtedly you're going to have stepping onto the floor for the first time. And not just that, it's a long time domain, and it's stuff that we do every single day in the affiliate. We're cleaning. Okay, maybe we don't run every single day. If I programmed that, people are going to like leave the gym.
Yes, I just lost all my members.
we all know how to run. It's a really nice, gentle introduction into what's going to be a great weekend of competition. And it feels like real traditional CrossFit stuff. Like, we're back to the basics of everything that makes us feel great.
You think about that, it's like, okay, what is your abilities that you gain if you do CrossFit itself? It's like, well, I can run long distance or go short. I can lift heavy or for high volume.
And I can look good naked.
I mean, let's be honest. That's really what got me in the door to start things off. Pure vanity is it. And some would argue that has yet to change, as I'm sitting here in front of a camera screen with a mic in front of my mouth as we talk. So, yes, the vanity has only gotten worse over the years for myself. What I like about this is, like, yeah, we can run long distance at a pretty high intensity, and we can cycle a barbell pretty good at moderate weight as the individuals make their way into the floor. Now, how this is going to go is that you're going to have to navigate around the arena into your barbell. You can't just take the shortest path there, which, you know, we know to be a straight line, but the ones coming in, right? You were in the door first, but someone actually might get to the bar the same as you. And that is
Ella Wilkinson.
Yeah, Ella Wilkinson.
Out of the UK. She has been such a key athlete on the local scene for a real period of time. She actually won an open workout a couple of years ago. Anything that is running, lightweight, high intensity, that is her bag.
Ella Wilkinson, I said, out of the UK. High Performance CrossFit, which also has the longest team name I've ever seen in my life that you guys have for your teams. It's absolutely ridiculous. 5'4", 141, 24 years old. Like I said, been on the scene, still very young.
So young. She took last year off to focus on her studies. So this is the first time we've kind of seen her back on the competition floor. She said, I spoke to her in the build-up, you know, the UK, we're a small crew of people. And basically it feels to her like she's a totally different athlete now to where she was competing a couple of years ago. And her training's been very strength-focused, which, good news on this barbell. I mean, it's not a massively heavy weight, right? But cycling that over a period of time under fatigue, you're gonna need an element to that.
50 clean and jerks at this weight in total will add up. Like I said, I think this reads a lot more gentle on paper than it actually applies to the competition floor, as all athletes are done with their first round of clean and jerk. Singles across the board as we saw the athletes take this on.
Ella was done in 350 off 1 minute.
There you go. 350 for Ella Wilkinson.
And that's with the run. Now it's 800 meters-ish, right? There's things we know in CrossFit. Distances always have an ish behind it, right? 400-meter-ish swim. 5K-ish run. Is that too soon? There's an ish. be
Only
honest.
you can get away with that.
Not for long, right?
Not sure
It's-
I
yeah.
can.
If you guys don't see me ever again, you'll know why.
But it's going to be the same. Every tracker is slightly different, and every course is going to have little inconsistencies because of stadiums. And I mean, we can see at the Asia throwdown.
Well, and
that
the
they're
nice
all
part
running
about-
indoors.
Well, you know, when you look at Asia, I made a joke on a post. It just looked like a Mario Kart course out there at the Far East Throwdown. But they're all running the same race. They're all doing the same distance, and we're not competing from semifinal to semifinal. So what each one does differently doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And what it is that we're testing that aerobic capacity, endurance, and stamina, as well as barbell cycling at moderate weight. 1 round done. I said Ella Wilkinson is currently in the lead, 24 years old. And top 10 finishes, she has 2. And this would be her second. So first semifinal was last year, and this is now her second. Or 2 years ago. I guess she had not made it the year before.
Yeah, so she took a step back to complete being a university student. But interestingly, back in the day, she used to compete under the JST Compete kind of programming, who
yes.
now is slightly, obviously they had a games team, and they've got the high performance long name that you're not particularly a fan
High
of.
performance
That's
long
them
name.
as well.
Yes.
But I guess more importantly, her coach at that time, Jack Horvath, alongside Steve Fawcett, who now is the Hard Work Pays Off coach for Victor Hoffer. And we can see all of the success and the build that Victor has made over the last year.
Talk about the hype train pulling in for Victor Hoffer this year. I mean, you think he'd be winning the CrossFit Games based off how much people have been talking about him.
I'm so excited for him because of all of the raw ingredients he has. But
Yeah.
I mean, we have to be, and also I feel like there hasn't been a young man that has been hyped up in this way for such a period of time. But we need to be so careful about this because of the undue pressure it puts on them as athletes.
Well, I mean, that's the part about being an athlete, right? And I think that's the part of wanting to professionalize the sport. You can either professionalize the competition, the payouts, the marketing, but the athletes need to professionalize themselves as well, as being able to handle the pressure. I mean, that's what it comes with the territory.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, athletes in. Still holding on to that little bit of a lead.
Coming in 4th position there, has made up some ground on that second
Ella Wilkinson, top right part of your screen. And what?
And also a little closer.
About 2 reps ahead.
For this 800 meter run. So ladies and gentlemen,
About 2 or 3 women that are trying to keep pace with her.
we are now.
Yeah, I'd love to have a little chat about lane number 11, Connie Easby. She's been doing CrossFit for 3 years, but this is her debut. She came in 3rd behind Ella just then, which is really incredible. She juggles a little bit of coaching, but what's really interesting is she's transitioned from triathlon. So it's a kind of a completely different skill set. Obviously the running comes into this particular workout, but her backstory is unbelievable, and she spoke to me and said she was willing to talk about it, but she stopped triathlon because she had an eating disorder that got so bad it put her in hospital on a psychiatric ward, and she spends a lot of her kind of social media presence now talking about that experience and hoping it will help others, but she puts down her entire recovery to CrossFit. She found a new goal and she realized to be successful she needed to fuel into food, and CrossFit, I mean, might be assuming words here, saved her life.
Hey, I mean, it's good to have those stories out there, and it's good for other people. It's like, it's not just a unique situation, as we've seen the power of CrossFit manifested in so many different ways on the positive, and it is a life-saving training methodology. Yes, we're talking about it on a CrossFit show, but like, that is truly what it is, and we've seen it manifested in so many different ways, and to see that and then her on the big stage after this, I think is very powerful.
I love everything about the combination of the sport and what we see in these big shows versus how closely it translates to everything we see weekly in an affiliate. It's the coolest thing in the world.
Okay, 2 rounds down, going off into our 3rd round, and we talked about athletes prepping for the off season, and all the work that goes into this for them
Traditionally, of course,
young athletes, teen athletes coming into competition here, the teams, the individuals, the elder statesmen, as gently as I can put that. But with the training methodology itself, it's like that's that binding tool that keeps us all together. That's why fans are so engaged with the sport, because though I can't move as fast as you in 5 rounds, I still understand what that feels like, and I think that is the cool bond that we have between competitors and community.
Do you want to know what this one feels like?
Do I want to know?
Death. And it's like lots of my favorite
our death
things.
is different, right? It might be death on the runs, death on the barbell. So we die in 2 different ways. We are 2 rounds down, already into our 3rd round.
Yeah, they're making it look pretty comfortable at this stage, I would say. It's not, but what is interesting, because it's such a big field, right? This is half the field competing at once, so we've got a real variety of skill set out there, and we've got a lot of the debutantes in this heat as well.
Well, if you guys are tired of looking at our faces, get your phones out, because GoRuck has an amazing opportunity. If you are an affiliate owner, scan the QR code now. They are giving away an opportunity to get 53 pairs of rough runners. I'm wearing it right now. There's nothing rough about them. They feel fantastic on my feet. But win free shoes for your affiliate with GoRuck. Enter to win, scan the QR code, 50 pairs of rough runners, or visit goruck.com/CrossFit.
Ella Wilkinson back onto the competition floor.
All right, I got something for you, Lauren. I was talking about this with Yami earlier, and when it comes to runs and the way this course is set up with a couple of switchbacks, the fact that Ella Wilkinson is in the position she's in is that though they're all running the same, she's out the door first and may not be able to be seen by the other athletes to want to even try to chase her down. She might be primed in the best position possible for just athletes not even being able to see where she is to want to catch her.
And honestly, we speak a lot about it in cycling. When there is a gap between the leading and the chasing, the psychological ability to overcome the gap plays into a huge part of what's going to give you success and a successful outcome. And being able to exert what you need to close and actually do that so you can still maintain once reaching the leader, that alone in an athlete's head is enough to put someone off. You need to have so much confidence in your running ability can maintain after running under fatigue in that capacity. It's really interesting. And obviously adding in the switchbacks is putting a slightly different strain on the body than if you were just doing a straight loop, which would inevitably be substantially faster.
And Wilkinson is extending her lead round to round. As it looks like, lane 11, as you said, Connie Easby out of CrossFit Highway. Looks like to be in 2nd place as she just goes out the door.
So another great story out of the UK, Georgina Davenport, who just ran around the outside to come to her barbell. She was on the CrossFit Rotherham team that went to the games last year. But more interestingly, she is an international diving coach, so going off platforms into water.
All right.
She's preparing Team GB for the Olympics at the moment.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she's just squeezing in CrossFit semifinals on the side.
Just in my off time, I'm just going to semifinals.
Yeah, and then can't make the games this year because it clashes with the Olympics, you know?
I'm sorry. And now on the women's side too, is that I think we have 11 rookies here this weekend.
Pretty cool.
In a smaller field than we had the previous year. We took 60 last year. Now we only took 40 to semifinals. Well, everything's less in Europe this year. Less athletes competing, less spot at the CrossFit Games, which I know is a point of contention for a lot of athletes here because, look, let's face it, Europe is one of the most jam-packed, talented semifinals regions in the world, and they're getting less spots this year.
Yeah, I know it's definitely been a subject of discussion amongst all the coaching teams in Europe. But going back to your earlier point about there being so many debutantes this year, I think the programming and the quarters Masters and in the Open has really aided that. There was limited, exceptionally high skill movements, and it was much more geared towards your true CrossFit fitness. And I think that really helps, especially younger generations coming through, because they haven't had the kind of time and capacity to work on some of this high level stuff that we've seen at the games over the years. We've seen at previous semi-finals and previous quarterfinals. It's opened the door for a lot of new talent. And of course, plenty of the slightly, I'm not going to say older talent, that's not what it is at all, but some of the more established faces not competing this year.
Season.
Round number 3.
Three rounds down, athletes out on the course, starting their fourth round. Every round starting with that run, finishing with the bar. And it's going to be interesting to see. Ella Wilkinson has led from the start, has seemed to increase her lead round after round. Sitting in that corner spot once they come in, I'd be curious to see what the next heat looks like, if that's really the sweet spot, right? Can I get out ahead? Can I get away from everyone's really viewing? Because once you run in, even though everyone can see each other, they're not going to be looking at each other. They're looking at the bar, bouncing and picking it up. And so it just might be a great spot to be as Wilkinson makes her way back into the stadium here at the LDLC Arena. And this arena is filling up more and more as the minutes go by. We're just halfway through, really, day one of competition here at the 2024 French Throwdown.
It makes me so happy. It's Friday, you know, we're in the middle of a working day, and already people are coming in, they're giving up their
people with
day
drums and flags, which is a really cool part. Yeah.
Honestly, fandom in France is next level. You know, they bring the flares, they bring the drums. The only time I've ever been tear gassed at an event was in France.
Wait.
Back honestly, fandom in France is mental. I don't think we're going to see that at a CrossFit competition, but
listen, CrossFit fans, Lauren has challenged you. If you do not come in here,
really bad.
Can just save the tear gas for the podium ceremony. You know, we need to spice that up a little bit.
Let's not make that joke. It's not a pleasant experience. It's just a fun story.
Anybody that thought they needed an extra spot, come in here. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. All right, Wilkinson, top part of your screen is out. This is going to be her fifth and final round. Now, here's the thing. There's only 2 heats here. Typically, we've had with 40, you have 4 heats of 10, 2 heats of 20.
Yeah, so Easby still in second. I'm thinking third is currently Rebecca Vitterson in lane number 7. She's had a real change this year, Vitterson. A new coaching program. She's now with Matt Torres of Bruce Strength, and it paid off with that incredible fifth at Wadapalooza. But she has had a few switches recently, trying to find what works for her. Maybe now this little bit of consistency that she's finding is going to get the best out of her. She got one of the last spots for the CrossFit Games last year on the bubble, and that was the first time she'd ever gone to Indy. Now she kind of knows what to expect, so I don't expect her to see her in that second heat come tomorrow.
Vitterson, left side of your screen, making her way around the athletes. She's in the black shorts, sitting in third overall behind Easby. So your top 3, Ella Wilkinson, Connie Easby, and then Rebecca Vitterson, as you said, coming off that 5th place finish at Wadapalooza. I don't think anybody saw that coming. I mean, she took 25th at the games last year, being her first season or first time making it individually. But to have that and to come back and get 5th, I think sets her up well this year at semifinals. But you think about, again, the number of athletes we have that have games experience far outweigh the number of spots that these athletes will get to the CrossFit Games, and it is going to be hard fought all weekend long to get inside that top 10.
Isn't it just? It's honestly terrifying. I'm so excited. It falls into 2 capacities. I'm so sad for those who are going to be so close, yet not going to make it. But at the same time, if you want jeopardy, you want fight, you want a sport that can harness everything exciting and of like a layman, like it really sells the sport as something that's very, very tight and exciting to watch, which actually is nothing but about, like, it's a very good thing.
We are approaching the 20-minute mark here This is individual event number 1 for the women. We've had 2 team events today already. But as the individuals turn, we still have 1 more team event to go today. So they'll do their version of this event, as it'll be 5 rounds for time, 800-meter run, 15 worm thrusters. As I try not to throw up on my shoes trying to say that event and how awful that's going to be. These teams, that event 1 was a potent test of teamwork and fitness for sure. We got a little bit of, I say, a break with the lift, but they're coming right back this afternoon and just getting hammered again.
It's a full-on schedule for the teams, isn't it? Down on the left-hand side of your screen, you've got Bergros Bjornsdottir, youngster out of Iceland with 2 reps to go. She recently run the program Crown competition, that invitational team competition, out in Mallorca.
Outstanding performance.
She's best described as a baby.
She is a baby.
Only
She's
17 years. I think she's probably the youngest in this field.
Her and Lucy McGonigal, but here comes Ella Wilkinson out of High Performance CrossFit. She is 10 clean and jerks away from taking heat number 1. Now, knowing full well there's a second heat of pretty formidable athletes, including your reigning CrossFit Games champion, Laura Horvath.
2 reps down, 8 to go.
Ella Wilkinson, 24 years old, out of High Performance CrossFit, led end to end so far, and she's 5 reps in, and not a soul has stepped into the arena to match her. So it looks like Ella Wilkinson is going to set the time to beat, just as Connie Easby makes her way into the arena.
I mean, I'm not biased, but what a heat for UK CrossFit. And for 2 young women to be setting the standard, that's really exciting for the future of the sport as well.
Ella Wilkinson, unofficial time 21:41. As you said, 24 years old, out of the UK. Connie Easby, this is her first time here at semifinal. She's 20 years old, out of CrossFit West Yorkshire. And here comes Rebecca Vittesen in the bottom part of your screen. Touch and go for Vittesen. Connie better look over to the right. Connie has 4 reps to go, but here comes Rebecca Vittesen.
Oh, Vittesen.
Vittesen hanging onto the barbell, 3 reps to go. 2 reps left for Easby, but here comes Vittesen. 1 more for Vittesen.
This is neck and neck.
And it's going to come down. We're going to have to see what the official time is, because
neck and neck.
That is nothing but a photo finish between Rebecca Vittesen and Connie Easby. And that's what we're trying to see. The question was, how do you manage the barbell? Do I do 5 touch and go in singles? Do I do singles the whole way through? And what Rebecca Vittesen did is exactly what some athletes are going to have to do, especially in the second heat, is just hang on and try to get that done as quickly as you can. And she caught up about 15 seconds on Easby.
Hey, grip it and rip it, baby.
So we've got a tie in second place for Easby and Vittesen.
They're saying it's a tie on the floor. So dead set. Wow.
Well, part of that too is that, we don't have chips for a finish line in this particular event. We do on the other ones, but not here. So when it comes to a hand timer, depending on, and again, that's unofficial. We don't know exactly what the official clocks will be based off the hand clocks that they're going to go by, but I mean, I couldn't tell you who won between the 2.
No, done by final lockout.
Now we know who won in this heat, and that is Ella Wilkinson's time of 21:41. As we are approaching the 24-minute mark.
23:43 unofficial.
And in this event, it is a 30-minute time cap. And talking to Adrian Bosman this morning, Lauren, is that time caps can be used in a multitude of different ways. One of them could be in a way that allows everybody to experience the full breadth of the event itself. Everybody should do the runs and the clean and jerks, because if you don't, I don't want to say there's an advantage to, say, getting last, but there is a physical advantage of not being as beat up as everybody else. And a time cap extended is 30 minutes here for this that nobody's going to need. On the flip side is a time cap that's much shorter. It's going to force the pace of the event.
Completely. And it has has mental effects as well, right? Like sometimes you see a really long time cap and you go, oh, okay, depending what the rest of the field can do, maybe I can take the foot off a tiny bit. There's space here, there's time. Whereas some people will force themselves to the oblivion of a tight time cap regardless. And it all plays into like the mental approach to a workout, which will come down to an individual. Oh, the shoes are off.
Oh yeah, classic.
30-minute time cap.
Georgia Davenport, 24:53 unofficial.
The last couple of athletes coming in now to close out their clean and jerks.
Yara Salandra onto her final rep. She takes 25:11 unofficial.
3 reps to go for
Clean and jerk weight for the women's 125, 10 reps each round for 50 reps total to go along with the 2.5 miles of running-ish. Ish, of course.
In your experience, having done this workout, bit of a battering on the legs, a lot of compromised running, is there enough time to be fresh coming into tomorrow? Because they've got quite a big gap. It's only been one event. These guys are used to doing 3 to 4 training sessions a day, but where do you think this kind of lands?
I think this isn't outside the skis of anything they've usually done in a typical training, Jay. And the nice thing here is that if it were a shorter run where the intensity needs to be higher versus just managing fatigue, if it was a barbell weight that you had to cycle, and especially if you had to squat for it, like if this was thrusters.
Which it will be for the teams.
Which it will be for the teams, right? We have a new score on the board, and that's 21:41 from Ella Wilkinson. And we're off. Heat number 2, individual event number 1 for the women, taking on 5 rounds, 800-meter run, and 10 clean and jerks at 125. The time to beat set in heat number 1, 21:41 by Ella Wilkinson, as the athletes will make their way out on the course.
Do you know where my eyes have gone immediately? Lane number 19. Turi Helgadottir holding that spot.
Turi Helgadottir holding down for the daughters in general. I mean, I think this is the first time since the regionals era, which was pushing 13 plus years, that Annie Thorsdottir hasn't been competing, Katrin Davidsdottir hasn't been competing, and Sarah Sigmundsdottir, who just recently told us that she will not be competing. Turi Helgadottir, in my opinion, has been the lost daughter for a long time, competing in the 2012 CrossFit Games for the first time.
Yep.
When I tried to say her full name, which was just a disaster, absolute disaster.
We're no Mads Jacobsen.
No Mads, who is really? No Mads Jacobsen, but Turi Helgadottir, I think, is one of the most underrated, not just daughters of the crew, but just athletes in general. Her longevity, her success. But when you look at an event like this, track and field background coming into the sport, and all the Olympic weightlifting she does in the off season, this lines up very well for an athlete like Turi.
Yeah, so you heard that Laura Horvath had been competing in the European Weightlifting Championships. The only other CrossFitter that was there was Turi Helgadottir. No, so the fact that she is in lane 19 once again proves that there's no guarantee that that's the faster lane. It could just be a fast athlete. And then alongside her in lane 18, Miriam von Rohr, who obviously took the Open this year, complete unknown.
That's the big question mark for her, right? It's like, okay, we know that she did well in the Open and then managed those expectations a bit in quarterfinals, and now here on the semifinal stage for the first time, right? A lot of success in High Rocks events that, oddly enough, doing CrossFit made her better at. Who knew? Who knew that?
But what it does mean is
very functional movements at high intensity makes you better at
functional fitness.
But
long story short, she has a huge running background, right?
Yes.
So the element for me on this, for her, will be the barbell work, because that's something that's only really come into her training schedule in the last couple of years. She's always done a bit of CrossFit, but never to the capacity required at semifinals level. So this workout will be a great test of one extreme strength of hers versus something that she's learned in the last couple of years.
Well, and this is a great event to put that to the test, as you said, is that with that barbell, it's not a heavy weight, but it is for a high volume, and the weight definitely, you start to feel it more as those rounds and those runs come on. So Your athletes now making their way at a very, very fast pace. This is not slow at all, just at the 3-minute mark.
To separate them at this stage. Don't forget,
Yeah, so Aimee Cringle was the first to the barbell. Another UK-based athlete, and she trains out of AOD in Worcester. So they also have a team here today. It's not dissimilar to the JST High Performance Center group.
Yep.
They've got a couple of very strong individuals surrounded by a lot of good individuals who come together as teams and can make impact.
Now, Jenny Muir was actually first to her barbell. She's in the top right corner in the purple shorts and black top. She's sitting in lane 1, where she has the longest to run inside the arena, where you were talking about Muir earlier. Kringle's off. She's got a good aerobic-based background, and then here comes Muir. Muir in the yellow and black, so she's sitting in second overall. Now, or Muir's in third. Kringle's in the lead.
She heads out in 5th position.
But it was Von Rohr that is sitting in second. So Von Rohr is sitting in second, as she had that bright yellow top, and she was one of those athletes screaming in the arena. Not literally screaming, but screaming at speed in the arena. Because look, if you want to have the reality of measuring this event versus something that Miriam Von Rohr has experienced and a lot of successes, and we mentioned it, High Rocks, where it's multiple rounds of a 1,000-meter run
and then
an exercise, right? And then an exercise. So
made for her.
now this is one that, what a great way to basically step foot on the semifinal floor for the very first time in an event like this. Is good for her. So, and it could have been worse, right? It could have been the max lift or the high skill or something like this. And for her success, a lot, and especially for rookie athletes, is, can I not get shaken by the first event, whether it's success or failure when it comes to that? And I mean, I don't think she could have been set up better than this first event.
For a young athlete, she's probably one of the most impressive people I've come across in a really long time. She is completely laser focused, which at that age, we know the kind of toll that can take on younger athletes. And she went, okay, I'm the European champion of High Rocks. I'm going to go and race the High Rocks World Championships. She dedicated her entire life to doing that. And then unfortunately at World Championships had to withdraw due to a back issue that she couldn't kind of keep hold of. And like halfway through, she just said, I can't do this anymore. And I'm having spoken to her and her coach, she actually took a huge step away to the point where she didn't get on a rower, she didn't go for a run, she didn't touch a wall ball or a kettlebell carry for over 7 months, because mentally, after everything she'd put into it, and for it to blow up like that, she just went no. And so you might even argue that wasn't the best prep for then coming to a full CrossFit season, but what it did is it shifted her focus to the strength elements, doing strength cycling. And at somewhere in the middle there, she went, no, I'm going to give CrossFit a good go.
Yeah.
This is now my focus. So she did race one major out in Vienna, but she finished mid-pack. It was, a really admirable performance, but clearly that wasn't her focus. Her focus has been this and only this. And when she's focused on something, we're talking laser. She's not looking at anything else.
Well, then to say it's like, okay, she's a rookie here is like true, but she's not a rookie to experience. You talk about her world champion success, like that transfers over. And it's funny because usually we'll see the opposite. Like, I did CrossFit for a long time, and then I found a new sport that I got good at because I did this functional training, and I can just kind of adapt to other things. And she's almost going the opposite way.
Yeah. But she's been able to do all of this at such a young age. Aimee Cringle, lane 5, first back in after the run.
Oh, Cringle going touch and go on the barbell. 125 on the bar, 10 reps to do. So Cringle has opened up a substantial lead on the other athletes around her, and we saw Rebecca Vittesen in the previous heat go touch and go on the last round only, and it looks like Cringle did a set of about 6 to start things off, and it's starting to cool off a little bit. But Aimee Cringle, bottom right side of your screen, is your leader as she will make her way around the arena and out the door. The next two that were chasing her down was Miriam Von Rohr. Miriam Von Rohr in the bright yellow and black at the top middle part of this arena was much closer at the first round as Cringle has opened up a substantial lead.
what is in the water
Gabi Migała.
in the UK.
And there she goes.
Ella Wilkinson and Aimee Cringle, two athletes that compete against each other on the national circuit, know each other intimately well.
Sylvia Garcia, Elena Caratala.
Now you got a pack of 4 athletes out the door to chase Aimee Cringle.
Yeah, it looks like Claudia Gluck, Emma Tall in that group of 4.
Now Jenny Muir, who's about to exit, she's in those pink shorts as she is getting outside for her 3rd round of 5 as we are approaching the 9-minute mark. Time to beat 21:41 by Ella Wilkinson in the first heat. But Aimee Cringle, one of those athletes that have been on the cusp or the up and coming that could potentially be a games athlete in the future. And it's more of like, can she put all the pieces together? Can she fill those holes that have been keeping her out of the games? And I think her name has come up a few times that she has an opportunity to make the CrossFit Games for the first time.
100%. She's always had a huge hype coming in as one of Europe's kind of next women. And I think maybe to a certain extent there was always a little bit of a doubt in herself that she was capable of doing those things. But she's been working very closely with the group at AOD out of Blueprint. Again, it just goes to show what a settled environment do. I think she ended up moving down there this time last year, but now a year in amongst that kind of environment every single day and having the same coach for a number of years, and all of that thing feeds into your self-belief and your systems that what you're doing is going to pay off. You know, plus she's a demon on a run.
Well, Aimee Cringle, this is her 3rd semifinal. 2 event wins in the semifinal era. That was the first event in 2022 and event 5 last year in 2023, which oddly enough had some 800-meter runs in it. Or one, but you know.
No, she's been a very impressive athlete and probably one of the highest profile CrossFit figures. I mean, in the UK, I would say Europe, she, for example, went to the airport on her way over to France and she was on the front of a magazine.
Oh, wow.
Women's Health.
Okay, well,
you know?
that'll do it.
She is probably having to deal with things that a lot of athletes don't have to deal with when it comes to not like our press, the inner CrossFit ecosystem press, but actually the press at large. And I can't imagine what that's like as an athlete having that on the side as well. Not just Aimee though, like we spoke about Jen Muir. She last year came onto the scene, debutante, she was in Berlin. We were like, oh, we wonder what Jen can do, but you know, it's her first year.
Yeah.
And then she went and took an event win. And we
the
were like, on the
first
first
event?
one. We were like, whoa, Jen Muir, hold up.
Which had a lot of machine work. You had the bike, you had the ski, you had the runner.
Yeah, I mean, for Jen, it was all about gymnastics progression, right? She had a real hard time with the muscle ups last year in Berlin. Aimee Cringle back in, and from what she's told me, it's like those holes over the course of last year have really been filled.
Aimee Cringle still going with the touch and go. Same thing she did in round 2 as Gabi Migała has moved into 2nd place. Emma Tall just behind her, so Gabi Migała left side of your screen in the green. Emma Tall passing her in the blue. Aimee Cringle on the right side of your screen, however. Just a handful of reps to go to close out round number 3.
I am loving Emma Tall and how much of a force she's becoming, or has always been, but never really been celebrated in European CrossFit.
Aimee Cringle at the 12-minute mark is off to her 4th round as she is still maintaining her lead. As she's running past Gabi Migała and Emma Tall, who are trying to keep pace with her for first place in this heat. This is event number 1 for the women, heat number 2. 21:41 is the time to beat set by Ella Wilkinson. And it looks like Gabi Migała has moved into 2nd place as she's trying to keep pace with Aimee Cringle.
On the move, and she's chasing.
Emma Tall is now done, so Aimee Cringle, Gabi Migała, Emma Tall on to their 4th 800-meter run. And that chase pack of 5 has now moved down to 2, and they're pretty spread apart themselves.
No, this could be an absolutely huge result for Aimee Cringle when you think about the company she's keeping up there in the leading group.
Now, Miriam von Rohr is just exiting in the yellow and black. Jenny Muir on the left side of your screen in the pink is actually ahead of all of these ladies as far as pace is concerned, because Muir is at the top in lane 18. Jenny's in lane 1, so she is having to run further inside, not further overall, further inside to get back outside. So that is the one unique element about this, since they're all facing each other. They're all running the same distance. Some just run a little further outside, while they actually run the same outside, but how they get to their barbell or where they start is the difference maker.
It was the safest way to do it, right? It was probably the only way to do it.
And the fairest way.
A couple of other athletes that are great to see back out on the floor. Jacqueline Dahlstrøm.
Yes.
After being on that bubble point and dropping out in the final workout of Berlin last year, not punching her ticket to the games, despite being a perennial returner, she's back out and looking for, or to make a big impact. She's changed her coaching team as well. She was always with the program and her boyfriend, John Singleton. Now she's moved to the Hard Work Pays Off camp. Still training out of a box in New York, a C23, with the same group around as she always has, but with programming and support from the Hard Work Pays Off camp.
As we move to our fourth round here for event number 1 for the women, the field is getting stretched more and more. As we had some breaks in the arena while everybody's running, and depending on the pace we see, we may see Aimee Cringle make her way in before the last athlete leaves. You can see Lucy McGonigal on the right side of your screen in the white top, brown shorts, 17 years old, 3-time CrossFit Games athlete, won the 14-15 division, aged up to 16-17, wins that one. And Lucy McGonigal, I think, is one of those athletes that we've seen a lot of young success for some American teen females. Lucy McGonigal could be that next one
in Europe.
Yeah,
and there was so much talk this time last year about what camp she was going to go with, because she was still training out of Ireland and was kind of quite comfortable, but we knew that people were approaching her. She's finally settled with the Proven camp. I was speaking to her the other day, and she was saying like how mind-blowing it is to be able to go up to and talk to and ask for advice from all of like her idols in the sport in that camp. And she's really enjoying that process at the moment. And you got to remember, she's still super young.
Lucy McGonigal,
coming back into the floor,
out of Ireland, 17 years old. Her worst finished place last year was actually event number 1 at the semifinals. So not uncommon to really see that. But Aimee Cringle, as we thought, in the door. But Gabi Migała has closed the distance on her in that 4th run. Aimee Cringle still going touch and go the first few sets. Gabi Migała, left side of your screen in the green, sticking with singles. Here comes Emma Tall. Emma Tall in the blue, bottom part of your screen, sitting in 3rd. Aimee Cringle, 4 reps left to go. Right side of your screen, white top, blue shorts.
Oh, touch and go for
Here
Aimee
comes
Cringle.
the touch and go. It's back. 2 more reps to go for Cringle. 5 reps to go for Gabi Migała.
2 and 3, Aimee Cringle, Gabi Migała, Emma Tall.
Gabi Migała won the European semifinal last year.
On her barbell.
And Cringle is done right about 16:35. Gabi Migała, 2 reps left to go. Laura Horvath just getting to her barbell. Laura Horvath is in the all-black left bottom corner of your screen. Gabi Migała is awesome. Migała is about 15 seconds behind Cringle. And Cringle's pace looking a little bit slower than she has the first 4 rounds. As Gabi Migała may be able to close that distance a little bit more like she did on the fourth one.
I think this is exceptionally well paced by Migała. She knows that she can take advantage of the latter rounds due to her out and out fitness, her ability to continue working to capacity until later into the time domain.
Emma Tall sitting in 3rd. She just went out the door for her 5th and final run.
Emma Tall, David Sharonki, the couple that just seem to go through every roller coaster ride physically possible. And so Emma's here with David, who didn't make semifinals, which is madness given the skill of that man. But he's here as a support system and a back carrier this weekend for Emma/coach, alongside Philip Biscard, who is the coach of both of them.
They're approaching the 18-minute mark. Laura Horvath's out the door. Jen Muir.
800-meter run.
There you go, Andrea Solberg out on the floor in lane number 2.
Andrea Solberg, right side of your screen in the blue pants, white top. One of those athletes that's trying to get back to the CrossFit Games.
So I was out in the UAE with her at the end of last year. There was a small Oslo contingent, of course, part of the big Oslo Massive. Should we call them that from now on?
Yeah.
Hashtag Oslo Massive.
Oslo Massive. Start the hashtag now.
She won, I think it was all but one event at that competition we were at, and it was a field that was pretty deep with her, like her own country women. But she just, when she does have a result, just feeds off that and gets better and better. She's not a leaderboard watcher, as I found out the hard way. Do not tell that woman the leaderboard.
Oh, you told her where he was. Yeah, I did that with Valerie Vobril once, and I never did it again.
Holly Tynan as well, another youngster, Irish, but training with Rob Lawson, like the seminar staff from up in Aberdeen, where Rogue Invitational's going to make its home this year.
There you go.
Now we just do word association. I just say a word and link it to someone else.
Hey, that's how we do it, right? We are slowly getting to that 20-minute mark. We're at 19:20 right now. 21:41 is the time to beat set by Ella Wilkinson in heat number 1. But the question is Aimee Cringle going to have the lead she had going out over Gabi Migała, or is Gabi Migała going to close that distance on Aimee Cringle? And what is that race on the last 10 reps going to look like? We saw in Heat 1, Rebecca Vittesen was able to hold on for all 10. Aimee Cringle has been going touch and go every round for about 4 to 5 reps, and then going to maybe doubles and singles towards that. Gabi Migała has only done singles this entire time. Could we see the same thing like we did in Heat 1, where has Aimee maxed her potential on the bar, and is Gabi saving it? Lucy McGonigal, right side of your screen, coming in for her 4th round of clean and jerks.
Seconds apart now, Greg.
And we heard that they're just, oh, there it is.
Oh.
Now here's the thing, Cringle's gonna get to her bar first, but Gabi Migała is gonna get about at the same time.
This is going to be massive. It's going to have to be touch and go from both ladies if they want a chance.
Cringle, 2 reps. Gabi Migała is cycling the bar for the first time. Cringle drops the bar. Here comes Migała.
But Cringle's cycle rate is so fast.
Hand in the air for Migała. Cringle drops the bar again. Can Gabi hold on? 3 reps to go. Gabi drops the bar. 3 reps to go for Cringle. Gabi Migała 2. Cringle 2. Here comes Gabi Migała.
Oh my gosh.
1 more rep to go for Gabi. And it'll be Gabi Migała at 21:10, with Aimee Cringle just behind her at 21:13.
That is why we love this sport. That was awesome. For it all to come down to the barbell, how Gabi played every single round, just eating into the time.
Now Laura Horvath has been just lurking in the back for the last 3 rounds. She's in the bottom left corner, but we have a race for 3rd place against the clock, and it looks like Ella Wilkinson's time will stand, so Ella Wilkinson will take 3rd. Emma Tall is done. So Emma Tall 3rd in the heat, but Laura Horvath is trying to get into that top 5 in this heat, potentially top 5 in the event.
You might remember last year with Laura Horvath at semifinals.
Jen Muir, we talked about it, Lauren, before it ever happened. We knew Jen Muir would be last in, but she is first to the bar. Jen Muir, top right side of your screen, will actually take a top 5 finish in this event.
And straight after her was Laura Horvath. And I don't know if you remember last year, Laura did just ease through the opening day. She didn't make any big statement. She didn't have to go out and win anything. She just kept it cool, kept it casual, and did what she needed to do.
22-27.
Well, and with Laura Horvath, I think one of her worst finishes was actually the first event last year at the 2023 European CrossFit European Semifinals. where she took 23rd in that event. So a much better start for Laura Horvath this year than last year. But how about Gabi Migała? Said this was the one she was looking forward to the most.
We can see why.
Yeah, we can see why. Great runner, so good on the barbell. She'll have her challenge on day 3, or I believe it's day 2, with those legless rope climbs. So not out of the woods yet for Gabi Migała. Those have posed an issue for her in their past, but I was talking to her coach about it yesterday, and he says that is a thing of the past.
I'm coming right back at you, Chase. I had that same conversation with them in Berlin last year. And last year, she absolutely dominated the rope climb workout. Because guess what? She's worked on it. It's not something that she's let drag through the years. I think there's much less of a concern around that implement for her.
23-32.
Claudia Gluck, bottom part of your screen, working through her last set of clean and jerks. Here comes Turi Helgadottir. She's just coming in for the run, so she's going to run around to her bar. Her bar is all the way on the back side, as she'll be in lane
19.
Turi Helgadottir makes her way.
Yep, lane 19 at a CrossFit Sport.
She's now currently working with Andre Houdet in the No Shortcuts training team. So that's alongside like Jelle Hoster and of course Andre. But I think she's found a bit of a family there that maybe she hasn't had in previous years.
These ladies still well.
Time cap for this event is 30 minutes, so all athletes have plenty of time to get through this. And yeah, you think about Turi over the years is that she's never really been in a big training camp. Not a lot of fanfare with who's coaching her or where she's training, and she's always been, like you said, kind of doing it on her own.
Yeah. And then Manon Agnes, she is another of Turi's training partners. Not quite opposite one another on the grids, but near enough.
Turi Helgadottir off and tap down outside.
Impressive barbell.
Holly Tinian is done.
For Franziska, she has 1 rep to go.
Franziska Hoger out of CrossFit Rosenheim has
5 minutes to go.
5 minutes left to go, and I believe it would be could be Lucy McGonigal. Which will be a tough start for her. She had a rough start last year. Of the 60 athletes that were competing last year in event number 1, that was Lucy's worst finish, as she took 55th out of those 60. So not unfamiliar territory for her. Still finished well overall at the semifinals last year, and with 5 events still remaining, still a lot of time for her to shine, as she, there's a couple of gymnastics events that are coming up that she can make up ground on. She took first in the European semifinal in quarterfinals in 24.3, which was all gymnastics based with the handstand, push-ups, rope climbs, toes to bar. Lucy McGonigal's 10 reps away to close out her first event of the weekend.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to have a chat with her after this, because I know coming into last year, it was a bonus, right? She was still competing teen, and it was just like a feeler. This time, I can imagine now she's elite level, it's still kind of a feeler, but having done it once, does that mentality change? Do you want to go in for the big wins? Or is this still just like a learning experience for her?
Her hand is up, and she's closing out. 3 reps remaining.
3 reps for Lucy McGonigal.
She's almost there. Final rep for McGonigal.
Lucy McGonigal. 26:56 unofficial.